Okay, so anyway, we're going to walk through one card together, and then I'm going to show you all the other cards that I put into the handout and just talk about how I made them and demonstrate a couple things, and then that'll be it. So let's get started. So I don't know how many people got the kit, but you probably have other things you can use with it. So this is the stamp set. Boy, mine has been well used. Let me tell you that. It has been well used. And it comes with, let me get this undone here, take this out. I have my dies in here. And then this comes with the handout, and you want to make sure you have the layering guide out when you're starting to do your card. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, but I always sit it here in front of me so I have it right where I need it. Except I knocked something over here. There we go. Okay, and then it has the 3D folder, garden rose, and then it has a whole bunch of stencils that are both the masking stencils and some word stencils. So like I said before we started, I didn't do a lot with the stencils because we had our whole stencil workshop in November, and that's on the recording in my YouTube recording. So so you can go and look at that. And you know what, Lori, maybe if you get a downtime and we're all busy, maybe you can go on your iPad and check my YouTube site and put a link up to that. That would be really helpful.
Sure.
People want to look up some of the others. So what we're going to do for this card is, this is the one we're going to walk through together. And because it demonstrates a lot of things that we're going to talk about. So let's see.
That's good.
I hope you like that card. I forgot to get my extra piece of paper that I was going to get, which is on the other side of the room. So I'm just going to get a piece of white cardstock here and use that instead. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is take a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 white cardstock. And I'm using this ink. This is the Forest Glades mixed media ink by Altenew, and you know they sponsor these workshops. So all of everything pretty much that I'm using is all Altenew, but you don't have to use Altenew, of course. So you can use whatever you have. But this is what I'm using today. I have found that I'm using some dye inks, but I have found that for swiping on the 3D images, that pigment inks work really good. So that's why I'm using this. And we're going to just make this back edging for the card. Can you see me here? I'm just going to swipe this down. Now these things don't swipe quite as dark when they get started as dye inks do, but just keep rubbing and it just will make this edging on the card. It's super easy to do. I do this a lot with dye inks too, because it makes a nice edging for cards. So, but this pigment ink takes a while to dry. So we're going to do this first. Just like that, we're done. Just 2 ugly stripes on the side of a card. I'm going to set it aside to dry. And then we're going to take a piece of I use light green cardstock, and I want to encourage you, I don't know how much you do this, but I use a lot of colored cardstock. I find that it kind of saves you steps. Like I could have inked up, done ink blending on a piece of white cardstock. But for this, I think, why would I bother to do that when I've got some green cardstock anyway? It's not going to make any difference. So I don't know. You'll see in the handout that a lot of these cards started with colored cardstock. Now we're going to put it into our 3D folder, and in our 3D workshop, I talked a lot about making the correct sandwich for your 3D folders, and every die cutting machine is different. So, but one of the keys to having really clear and crisp 3D images on these embossing folders is to have the right sandwich in your machine. And I can't tell you what that is because, you know, everybody's different. So you just have to experiment, use your brochure that came with your machine, your manual, but at the same time, that isn't always the most useful one either. So you just have to kind of experiment with your individual machine, but it really makes a giant difference having your sandwich right for using these things. The other thing is that I have gone back and forth on whether or not to moisten the cardstock ahead of time. And I don't always do it, especially if I'm using really thick cardstock because it doesn't seem to crackle as much. But on this thin cardstock, I have found that wetting it first does help. And I have it in the instructions to do that. So let me try my mister here. Just misting it a little bit on both sides and then just kind of rubbing it and getting that moisture across the whole cardstock will really make your image be a lot better. So we're just going to put it in like that, center it, make sure it's straight, just like that, and run it through. And by the magic of Zoom or whatever, I've got mine already done. So I didn't want to have to run my noisy machine. So this is how it turns out. And the other reason I did mine ahead of time is because you want to make sure it's totally dry before you do the next step. So is everybody with me? I don't know. I know you don't have your mics on, but you might, if you're not, or if you're confused, please let Lori know by chat, because otherwise I have no idea in terms of feedback, and that's important to me. So it's kind of difficult with so many people in a virtual world to get feedback. So that would be great if you could just let Lori know if you're confused, and then I will try to answer any question. Okay, so here's this, and it's pretty the way it is. I love these roses. I really, really love this folder. But it will look prettier once we do the next step. So again, I'm going to take the forest glades, and all I'm going to do is swipe the ink folder or the ink pad over the 3D, just like this. And you can do it as much or as little as you want. But now look at the definition of that. Isn't that pretty? It just looks so pretty. I really like the green on the green. It just kind of, even though the roses are green, but it's just so pretty. I really, really like how that looks. And so eventually we're going to put it on to our backing like that. So those two steps. And now we're going to go to stamping our roses. And this is where everybody wanted some help in terms of how to make this happen. Get my Misty out here and get a piece of cardstock. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of 5.5 by 8.5 cardstock into my Misty, lining it up in the corner, putting some magnets on it. I have some sticky sheets too, but I didn't get them out for this. Okay, and then I'm going to start taking my stamps.
Sandy, somebody asks, do you find that different types of ink, pigment versus dye, work well with this technique, or that one works better than the other?
Well, I do find that for this technique, pigment inks work better.
I agree.
I have I've done it a lot of times with dye inks. So don't eliminate your dye inks. And if you don't have pigment inks, don't think, oh, I can't do this. It works fine with dye inks, but it does, I think, work a little bit better with pigment ink. But don't eliminate trying if you just have dye inks, because it works with them too. But I do think the pigment ink works better. But I don't want you to think, oh, I can't do it because I don't have pigment inks, because you can. In fact, I should, maybe later we'll try both on one piece and see how it works. So anyway, I'm going to get my stamps out and put them on here. My first tip is when you put your stamps on, put them the same direction that they have them here. Let me get the larger one. It's easier to see. Okay, so the layering guide has it facing this way, like this. So make sure you put your stamp on your paper so that it's facing the same way as the layering guide. Does that make sense to everybody? I can't get your feedback. I hate that with everybody not being able to talk, but hopefully that makes sense. Because
There is a place where they can give a reaction and you can do a thumbs up.
oh, well, there you go. That would be helpful for me. Does everybody get that principle? Do you see where you can do it? Lori, tell them where they can do that.
On mine, it's at the bottom. I'm on a computer. It's at the bottom. In the menus at the bottom, it says reactions. And if you click on that, one of them is a thumbs up.
Okay, boy, that would be helpful if people can discover that. So that's the first hint. Put them in the same direction. Don't just willy-nilly put them out there. So I'm going to do that with the second one too. And put that the same direction that they have it. And you want to make these far enough apart that you can get your dies on there and get it through your die cutting machine all in one fell swoop. You don't have to go feeding it through 20 times. So put them far enough apart that that's the case. The leaves, it doesn't matter on this because they're not layered. So you can put them, just make them far enough apart that you can fit your dies around them. So I've got all the leaves on. So now I wanted to talk about color for a minute. I am going to ink these up with evening gray, warm gray ink. It's the second, it's not the lightest, but it's the next lightest up. The reason I'm doing this is because sometimes you want a really bold look and black is the best way to get that. But I find that most of the time when I'm actually going to add colors to my flowers, I really don't want that outline to stand out like that's all you see is this big black outline. So I have found that if I stamp in a lighter gray, I can still see the outline, but it's not, you know, it doesn't just jump off the page at you. It doesn't become the key element that you see. So that's why I'm going to stamp them with gray. Now let me close my door and get these on here. Okay, so I'm going to ink them with that, but here's my other tip. I don't have a lot of tips, but this is my secret weapon. And some of you have seen this before, and don't laugh at me if you can see my face, but I use magnifying glasses and I wear glasses. So I have to use these clip-on ones. This particular one lets me see through the magnifier and over the top of it. So all at once, which I like. If you don't wear glasses, you could go down to your drugstore and buy some cheapo magnifying reading glasses. These are 4 times magnification. And they look really silly when you're wearing them, but this is my key thing about lining up stamps. I find that when I'm looking through magnified images, I can see where they line up so much easier. It makes it like night and day for me. Now, that may not be the case for you, but I highly recommend it because when I started using these, all of a sudden my stamps started looking a lot better. And it's because I could see the details so much better. So that's my only secret weapon. I don't have any other great ideas, but this really works. So I'm going to put mine on my.
Did you get those at the drugstore?
These I got on Amazon.
I'm going to look on Amazon and see if I can find them.
Yeah, now they have them that are full. Let me show you. I bought some by mistake, like this, and they cover your entire glass. You know, if you wear glasses, they cover your entire lens, and all you can do is see the magnification. These kind of like have a space above it so that you can see far and close all at once. So it just depends what you want. But I got these on Amazon, and I've gotten through 3 times. I think I bought 3 pairs of them because, you know, they get scratched and everything. But oh my gosh, what a difference it makes. So first of all, and then you can flip them up. You don't have to have them down all the time. I don't know if you can you see my face from that camera or no?
Yeah, I can see your face. Yeah.
Okay, so you see these glasses, how they flip up like that?
Oh, yeah.
So you can see, and then if you need them magnified, you just flip them down. They don't look great, but who's going to look at you when you're stamping anyway?
Oh, yeah. Who
But,
cares?
okay, right? They work great. So I'm just going to ink up these stamps. We're not layering this first layer, and the leaves only have 1 layer in this set. So now I call it the mistake of re-inking all my cubes for this yesterday. And when I first stamped the stamps, they were so juicy that it went all over the place. So I hope that this time it doesn't do that same thing. Okay.
Somebody wanted to know, do you have a brand name or the name of those clip-ons?
I can look it up on Amazon for you when we're done. I'll look it up for you.
Okay.
Okay. Otherwise, you can just search. I think that when I bought these new ones, I think I just searched under clip-on magnifying glasses. I think that's what I searched under, and they came up right away. So,
Okay.
okay.
I think I found them. If I
Okay,
do,
so,
I'll put it in the chat.
okay, great. So now you can see the color of that. You can tell the outline, but it's not like black outline, right? So let me get a baby wipe over here. And then we'll go to lining up our first layer after I wash these off. I'm just washing my stamps off with a baby wipe here. And I'm going to take the leaves off because I don't need them anymore. And then we're going to be challenged with the layering. So we're going to be down here on these flowers. And here is the first layer for the big flower is this one. Now, when you look at the layering guide, it's going to tell you, that's why you set this up the same way. It's going to tell you, you want to look for, see the red marks here? What these mean is that these are the 3 places on this that you can look and see where to line up the stamp. So that's why I had you line it up the exact same way, because you're going to put it down, and you can even see on here. Can you see how they go over right over that, these lines? Maybe not, but look at this line right here. Can you see that line on the stamp? I don't know if it'll, there's a line in the stamp that goes like this and fits right on top of that red line. So that's the line you're going to look for. Now, if I don't do it with my glasses put down, I can kind of see it. But if I look through my magnifying glasses, I can see exactly where all those lines go. And that's what makes the difference. So I don't think there's a trick other than looking where they say, but I don't even most of the time look where they say, because when I look at it really magnified, I can see where all the little ridges are and everything, and I can line it exactly up just from looking here. So I did that, and it's all lined up. And it was no magic thing. It was just that I could see it better. So that's my big tip. I don't know that it's a big, earth-shattering tip, but for me it is, because it's made all the difference. So same thing on this. I can see where the lines all are with my magnifying glass. I doubt that you can see them, but I can. And voila, they're lined up. So does that make sense to everybody? It's not rocket science, but boy, I think it's a problem not being able to see clearly enough. Because if I'm just looking like this with my glasses flipped up, I can't see the definition as easily, but I sure can with that on there.
If that makes sense to people, give it the thumbs up.
or try to,
Yep.
or turn your mic on for a second and say, yeah, that makes sense.
I got 16, 17, 18, 19, counting thumbs up.
Oh, yay. Good.
21, and it's still counting up. So
Oh,
good.
good. Okay. So like I said, you know, is it a magic answer? For me, it is. You try and let me know. Email me. You have my email. Let me know if it works for you when you get some of these, because for me, it made all the difference. And I hope that it will for you too. So now I'm going to ink this in rouge.
Sandy,
Yes,
Sarah Lynn asked, how many layers of ink on these do you want?
Well, we're going to do, there's 2 more layers. And then I'm going to show you what we're going to do after that. We're really going to use 3 colors, but we're only doing 2 on the stamping. I'll explain.
Okay.
We're going to do 2 on the stamping and 1 with the stencil. So now I'm going to stamp these in rouge. You can use the color you want.
She clarified, she said for the gray layer.
Oh, I just did 1, but just look and see how well your images show up. For me, now on the camera, they probably look really, really light, but for me, they're a nice medium toned where I can see the outline, but it doesn't like jump off at me too dark. And it's not so light that I can't see it. I think on camera, it's probably lighter than it really is in person. Hopefully that answers that question. Do as many as you think is appropriate for what yours look like. I can't tell that. I'm doing this in rouge.
So is the stamping with the middle color?
I'm stamping with, well, I'm doing a weird kind of a combination here, but this would be the, you know, see, I'm a fan of stamp with whatever looks good to you. So this, I'm not using 3 from the same ink. So this is kind of a middle color. Yeah.
Okay.
In other words, I'm not using the same ink family on this, and I probably should have for ease of use. But that is something else I would like to say is don't be afraid to try different combinations that don't seem like they might go together. Gosh, I sound like I'm a walking advertisement, but I also have a 4-part series on my YouTube channel of color theory. And I have lots and lots of ideas for you to get color palettes and colors that work together, and how to make that happen, and some online resources for it. And we even talk about color psychology. So you might want to look that up on my YouTube. Like I said, I feel like I'm doing this, you know, commercial or something, but we had a workshop on it too. And then so many people liked it that I turned it into an actual 4-part tutorial. Okay, so we're going to take these off. And this looks kind of like non-impressive at the moment, but I'm going to show you how this ends up. Okay, here's time to flip my glasses back down again. And here I go, going to line this up. There's that one line I can do with it again. And then I just do little adjustments from there where I see the lines lining up. Oops.
Several people have commented that your color theory class was very, very good. Excellent.
Oh.
Superb.
Oh, good. That's nice feedback to get.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, you know, I don't get feedback very often, so that's very nice. I'm happy for that. If it can help somebody, I'm happy. So come on, Sandra. I line it up and then my finger pulls it out of the space. Okay, there's that one.
I want a trick for that too, that the stamps stick to your fingers.
They do. Okay, this one lines up. It's so much easier with the magnifier. I don't want to make it sound like, you know, it's a magic wand, but it kind of is for me. Okay, this one I'm getting a little bit off. Take your time to do it, but it might take you time, but it's not frustrating. It's just a matter of getting it in the right place and checking all the way around the whole stamp to make sure everything lines up, but you can see it. So it's not a big deal. Okay, that one's still, this one. Oh, here we go.
We're up to 55 people.
Oh, yay. Well, I told you I thought we'd get about half, so that's about right. Oh, I'm so excited to have everybody here. Okay, let's see here. There.
Oh, somebody suggested that to dust their fingers with talc so
Oh, well,
that
there you go.
that your fingers don't stick to it.
Well, I'll have to try that. Okay, so this one, I'm going to go totally out of the box. I saw this color combination somewhere and I really liked it. So I thought I'm going to try it, and it worked well for me. So I'm going to do Pinkalicious, which doesn't seem like it would go with rouge, but pink and orange go well together. And then we're going to tone it all down. So it's not going to look real bright pink when we finish, but right now it might look a little pink.
Someone else is suggesting try using black images on the stamp set to lay over your inked image and place the stamp set on, and then close your MISTI and remove the acetate sheet.
Oh, well, there you go. I had somebody tell me to use acetate, but I've never figured out how to do it. This works for me, so it's just what I do, but you might want to try that. That sounds pretty cool. Okay, so this is going to look pretty pink and orange right at the moment, but that's all we're going to use our MISTI for. We're going to be done with that. And then what we're going to do is get out our stencils. And you're not going to believe how easy this is. Now, we're going to, and since there isn't this is all white just from stamping. Those are all the layers that are included in the set. So what we're going to do is put on, if I can get it right. Is that the right way? Yeah. We're just going to put the stencil over it, and we're actually going to ink it with that. And I'm using the lightest color, which is Frosty Pink, that I'm going to use. And I'm going to use these detailed blending brushes. Now, I don't know, you might not have the Altenew ones, but it's really good to buy some small blending brushes because they're so handy and useful. Altenew sells them in a 3-pack of these 3 sizes together, small, medium, and large. So I'm just going to use this with my dye ink pad. And I'm just going to hold this in place. You can tape it too, but right now I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to dab it there. And then I'm just going to just swirl this around over the whole thing, because what it ends up doing is that it ends up just kind of making it really soft and blending all those layers together. And the more that it dries, the more they blend together. You can use any 3 colors you want. It does, go for it. Be adventurous. I say I am the most perfectionistic, rigid person when it comes to myself doing things the right way. But I'm learning to be artistic. You have to be taking risks. So I'm trying to get better at that myself. But now you can see when I pull this up, the difference between this one and this one. Can you see a difference in those? It softens it up a great deal.
Yes.
Can you see how that light ink in there just kind of blends it all together? So
we have a few questions. Somebody wants to know what 2 colors that you used for your floral, rouge and what?
Rouge and Pinkalicious. They're from 2 different color families.
Rouge and Pinkalicious. And somebody wants to know how long it takes for the inks to dry.
Oh, they're pretty dry right away, but I do see they kind of, where did I find that? I found it somewhere and I thought it might be on here, but it's not on here.
And
no, it's not on there.
Somebody else wants to know, what are you using after you've closed the MISTI door to put the pressure on?
Oh, my husband made it for me. You can buy them too, but I need a new piece of felt on here. He just took a dowel and cut it and put felt on it for me. And now it's getting, my felt is all smashed, but boy, oh boy, does that help my hand. I have some arthritis in my hands, and this helps a whole lot, put even pressure on it, but you can buy them too. I don't know where exactly, but I know that they're available. Oh, come on. This is usually easy to set.
SD sells them, and they start at about $12 to $14, and then you can get the little Debbie or the Debbie, which goes to $29.
Oh, well, there you go. Why am I having so much trouble putting this on here? It's just because you guys are watching me. Normally, I just get it right on there.
Is it upside down?
That's what I'm looking at. I think it is. Thank you very much. That's what comes from talking and doing at the same time. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to just do this. Be sure you tap your brush on an extra piece of paper, because otherwise you can end up getting a big pink spot or whatever color you're using too strong where you're coloring. But this is really easy to do, this last layer. So, and you can leave it undone. I'm going to show you a card that I made when this was released, and I made it for a card for Altenew where on my blog where I didn't even use this third layer because I wanted it to be kind of bold, but this softens it up a lot. Okay, so there my roses are done, and you can see they end up looking really variegated and really pretty in real life here. Now we're going to color the leaves the exact same way. And to color the leaves, what I used was this ink. This ink is got stained on the outside, but this is Forest Glades, and the lighter one is Frayed Leaf. So same thing. What I do is I put the stencil over it. And let me get these open. Oh, I need to take a drink of my drink here. My throat is dry from talking too much. Okay. So I'm first going to use the light color Frayed Leaf. By the way, if you have Altenew inks, and I can't afford the big, or nor do I have space for the big pads, they make these little labels that go around the bottom and the top. And if you've ever had the situation like I have had where you drop several ink cubes at once and you don't have them labeled, trying to figure out which matches is very difficult. So I bought these little labels that they sell, and boy, oh boy, it's been great ever since. I don't have to worry about them if they get mixed up. Okay, so I just do the light one first, just kind of all over like we just did the pink. And you know, these don't have any rules. So I'm using the biggest brush just to cover the biggest territory here. But you know what? If you leave some white, that's okay, because it ends up looking shaded and it ends up looking like kind of like artistic, you know, when you don't even think you're an artist. It works. So don't worry about it. And then I just take the littler one on the darker shade and just kind of fill in from the bottom up, because leaves are darker in the middle of the veins and then at the bottom. And no rhyme or reason, just go for it. And then you can see when it's done, it ends up looking like really shaded, and like I said, it ends up looking artistic, and you know, you didn't even think you were artistic. So it's an easy way to color. I love these coloring stencils. And now they have the layered ones, which I'm going to do in another workshop sometime, where we're going to do flowers with layers, but I wanted these to just be as simple as possible, just taking the brushes and just filling them in. You know, it's not really complicated, but it ends up looking so pretty. And it's really fast to do too. It doesn't seem like it would be when you look at the end result. But if I weren't talking and I were just doing this card doesn't take that long to make. I always do the leaf stem darker, and then just try to go up the middle a little bit and kind of fill in the base darker. like I said, I've kind of learned to be less perfectionistic and more haphazard with this, and it ends up looking better. So you can see that just a little bit of shading, no biggie deal. Anyway, I'm just going to do those two because I showed you how to do it, and I don't want to bore you with 2 more leaves because I already have mine run through the die cutting machine. So that's your next step, is just to go ahead and take your dies and tape them on. And if you did it the way that I showed you to do it, these should all fit on together where you can run it through your die cutting machine all at the same time. And that saves a lot, being able to just tape all these down on one sheet and run it through and you're done. Does that make sense? Hopefully.
Thumbs up if it does. Oh, shoot. Somebody wants to know how you get them to line up.
Oh, the dies? Okay. They're easy to line up. They're just the outlines, and you really don't need your magnifying lenses, but you could, if you wanted to, line them up with that just like that. And then you just take your tape. I've got this tape out today. I like this tape. It's called Easy C Crafters Essentials. However, somebody just clued me into it's cheaper on Amazon when you buy it as highlighting tape, and it's the same tape. So I bought
What a great idea.
Yeah, I bought some, but it hasn't come yet. So I don't have a personal testimony about it, but just like that. This tape comes off very easy and won't rip your paper. So that's all you do. You just line them all up just like that. Same with the floral ones. They're really easy because they're just the outlines, and you just get them right up to the edge all the way around and then just tape them down. Run the whole thing through your die cut machine all at once. And then you have all your flowers. So it makes it really easy to do it that way. So let me get the ones that I already made because I wanted to save time for us. I stamped them out yesterday. Okay, so now we have all of these that I did just like we just did. And there they all are die cut. Is everybody with me? Yes, thumbs up, yes. Lori, does that make sense to you?
It makes sense, and I'm counting the thumbs up.
Okay, so now what I did, now I
So
think
we got 1 thumbs down.
uh-oh, that didn't make sense. Okay, somebody, whoever's the thumbs down, type in chat what didn't make sense, and then I will answer it. I'm moving on, but I'll answer that whenever you type it.
Sure.
Okay, so this is optional. I did it because when I made this card, I wasn't sure that putting the flowers right on here would be really visible, but I think they are. And so I don't think you need to do this step, but it's in the instructions just in case you do want to. And what I did on this card, I don't know if you can see it. There's a vellum layer right here. Can you see that, Lori? I know you can.
I can. Yeah.
Okay, there's a vellum layer across the bottom of this card. And all I did was I took some vellum like this and just did a torn decal edge on it like this. No big deal. And then I put some double-edged tape on it, or backing, and put it on here like this, glued it on, and then just cut off the edges, because I thought that maybe these flowers needed a base on them before you put them on. But you can do that step if you want, but today I'm just going to glue them on because I think they actually are going to look okay anyway. But I wanted to show you that that was part of it. If you feel like for your colors or your options, that's something you can do to base your flowers on so that it doesn't show all of this dark area if you want to mask it, but it's not a have to. So you choose what you want to do. Now I'm going to arrange my leaves and everything on here. My husband is adjusting my doors out there because they're making noise in the wind we're having today. Okay, so I'm going to just arrange my leaves on here, and then You know, probably a lot of you know how to use
Press and seal?
trying to say, yeah, press and seal. I'm not going to do that because this isn't that complicated. So I'm just going to glue these on with liquid glue. I'm going simple today. If I can get my pen out of my glue. Moving this out of the way. I do have a silicone mat over here that I like to use for gluing. This glue bottle is almost empty, so I'm having to really squeeze it to even get the most minimal amount of glue out of it today. Okay, so I'm just going to put this down like this. And then put this one on. If you haven't, Altenew has a silicone mat too, but I bought these again off Amazon and put them on my, normally I use a glass mat to do my crafting on, but because it's glass, it reflects when you're trying to record something. So I don't use it for filming, but I usually have this on my glass mat and it sticks on it really well. And then if you use glue on it or sticky tape or anything and it gets on it, it just wipes right off instead of getting stuck like on your main crafting surface. Altenew's mat is bigger for coloring, and I find that I don't use it on my, it's just too big to use full time on my crafting surface. So you can put these any way you want. I'm just laying out the way that I did on my first card just because I could. So now I'm going to put this one flower down with glue, and then I'm going to put the second one down with foam tape. So it gives it a little bit of dimension. That. And then I'm going to put this leaf in right there. Let's see, I think I'll put it there. It's so quiet with you guys having your mics off. It seems eerie on my end of things.
I'm keeping up with the messages, and
I know you are.
yeah, somebody said the vellum is really perfect for the matte roses.
Good.
Is the perfect mat for the roses.
Yes, it really is. It works really well. I wanted to give it to you as an option. I'm getting my foam tape over here.
Kathy found on Facebook that there was a lot of people still wondering where the link was, so she pasted it in the Facebook page for you.
Okay.
And said that it was going to be, that it was recorded and they can watch it there.
Yeah.
So
I'm not going to put it on Facebook the way I did this time. We're just going to advertise it and say, email me right off the bat if you want to, which we've always done for my other workshops, but I'm new at running a Facebook group and I had no idea that it wasn't going to function the way that I wanted it to. And
somebody
then,
wants to know again what the purple tape was you bought on Amazon.
okay, it's this EDUCATOR Crafters Essentials. But like I said, somebody actually emailed me and told me that it's the same tape if you buy it, and it's called highlighting tape. And it comes in blue and purple and yellow and different colors. But apparently it's cheaper by a little bit than buying the one that's made for crafters. It's the same product. It's just packaged differently. So see what's cheaper for you. But this works really well. And you can actually reuse it a couple times. And it doesn't tear your paper. And I find I have a lot of trouble with different tapes tearing paper after they've gone through the I'm getting stuck, die cutting machine. So it works well. Let me put my pen back in my glue. for the moment.
Somebody needs to leave early and wants to know how she can get the link for the replay.
If I have your email, I will be sending it out when I post it. So
If you don't have,
you'll get it automatically. If you have registered with me and got the handout in email, then that means I have your email, and you will get a link tomorrow or Tuesday with the actual link straight to the video.
and
So-
if not, your email is listed in the chat. Be sure that you grab her email and email you if
Right.
that hasn't already happened.
Yeah, if you haven't emailed me yet, grab my email and email me and say you were here and that, you know, you want to be sure to be included in the other. And if worse comes to worse, just go to my email. Lori's going to put an address for my email. My YouTube channel.
YouTube. Yep, I put the address for the YouTube channel in the chat already.
And then just check the YouTube channel if worse comes to worse. Subscribe to my email channel or my YouTube channel. I can't even talk. And you'll get an automatic notice of that too. Okay, so I just put some foam tape on the back and I'm going to put it on here, and then we're going to do our sentiment and be done. And then I'm going to show you a whole lot more cards. Okay. This card is really very easy if you just try to do it yourself and not, you know, have to be worrying about doing it, demonstrating it. But it looks really, really pretty when it's done. Okay.
It looks really pretty right now.
I'm just gonna clip that off. And there's that. And then, now what I did for this sentiment and what I have down on the directions is I used some alcohol markers, but you can also use like the rouge, you can use like the rouge ink pad and just do like this. But the reason I didn't do it for our demonstration here is because this takes longer to dry. So what I did was I just took my alcohol marker, let me get out my background piece of here, and I just took a rouge alcohol marker and I just made a background like this and just kept filling it in until it was one solid like this, because it dries faster and it's easier to do, and you can make it where it looks really even, just like that. And then this dries real fast. So what I did was did that, and then I might not have made it as big as I need it right here to demonstrate, but I like this love die. It comes as a circle, so when you cut it out, it does this. It makes a which is really cool because you could put a shaker behind it or whatever. But I like the way it spelled the love, so I just laid it out like this, where the love fit onto my colored area, and I cut it out anyway, and it came out like this because I didn't even have, it just went off the top, but I don't want the circles, so all I'm going to do is take some scissors here and just cut this off of here like that and like that, and then you have your sentiment just like that. So you can use whatever die you want. I just happen to like that because I have a few different things that say different things, and I liked the shape and the size of it on here, that you could use whatever you want, but that's how I colored it. And then just glue that on, or use double-sided adhesive when you on the back of it when you die cut it. You can do that too, or you can just use glue. So I'm just going to use glue today because I wanted everything to be simple and not have to have too many supplies. That's the goal with this today, is to take a kit and try to make as many cards as you can just with the kit and a few additional like shaped dies or sentiment dies, but mostly just using the kit, because you want to get your money's worth when you spend something on something expensive like this. That was not good, Sandra. and you don't want to have a whole lot of other supplies. So if you mix and match with other supplies that you have, you can make endless number of cards, right? But I just wanted to say, what can you do if you just have the kit and you just want to make cards mostly with the kit? And that was my goal today. So now let me show you a trick of what I did for these little pearls that are on here. And I don't know if you realize that you can color your own embellishments to match your card. How many people know that you can do that? Yeah, raise your hand if you knew that, or if you've done this.
Yeah, thumbs up if we've got 7, 8, 9, 10.
Good.
Thumbs up, or yep.
Okay, so what I'm going to do here is take just some white pearls. I'm going to put them on this tape. Just stick them right on there. Just like that. And then I'm going to take my same alcohol marker, that's the rouge, and I'm just going to color them. And believe it or not, you can color your like pearls or white sequins or anything to match whatever you're doing. So I'm just coloring these just like that. Put them on tape so that they don't start, you know, going all over your surface here when you're trying to color them. And they dry just as fast. So just like that, you have pearls to stick on that match your ink.
What's the name of your gem picking up tool that you're using there?
Oh, I don't know. You know what? I have one of those Katia ones that's really expensive, and this one I just got again probably on Amazon, because you see, living here in Alaska, you don't have a lot of stores you can just go down to and pick something up. So I think I just got it on Amazon cheap, you know, and these are invaluable, these little triangle trays.
Yep.
They're just, you definitely need to have one. But now, can you see, I didn't glue them down yet, but can you see how those pearls match that sentiment?
Yeah.
Really well. And you can make them whatever color you want. So it's great. You don't have, I do have colored pearls actually, because I had bought them before I knew that you could do this. But it's really nice to be able to customize. Oh, Sandra, to be able to customize your embellishments. I'm a pearl lover, so what can I say? I use those a lot. You should put your embellishments on in odd numbers, so 3, 5, or like 2 groups of 3 is fine. But who knows who? But some scientists have discovered that people's eyes are attracted to odd numbers. So try to put your embellishments on with odd numbers, and there you have it. What do you think?
Beautiful. What does everybody think? We're getting thumbs up and hearts.
Oh, good. Okay. And you could see how easy that was. It really was not hard. Here's my original. I think I used a little bit different inks on it. So these look pinker and this looks orangier, but you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Right?
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. We're getting gorgeous, very pretty, very nice.
And easy too. It really is easy. If you don't have to try to talk about it while you're doing it. It gets a little complicated when you're trying to explain the whole thing, but it really is a lot easier than it probably looks. Let me take another drink of water here and throw my tape away, and then we're going to start on all of the others. Do we have any other questions right now? Oh, whoever said they were not following along, did you ever write a question?
I don't know. It was just nobody said anything. So
Okay, well, just remember that you can ask a question. Just type it in the chat.
if I missed it, please type it in again.
Yeah, because Lori has a big job trying to keep track of everything and everybody here. So, okay, so the goal is,
She
what
wants
else-
to, hold on.
what?
So, somebody said they gave up and just stopped, but you can go back and watch the video when it's done. And somebody else wants to know, what weight paper do you use? And the
Well,
name of the glue.
oh, the name of the glue? I use this let's see, Barely Art. And the reason I do is that it comes with 3 different tips. This one, boy, I've got it all gunked up, but this is their little teeny tip that puts it out very thin. But
Mhm.
what happens, let me get my pen back in here. This part comes off and it's got, this is the fine one, and then it's got a medium tip and a big tip. So I really like the fact you can have different amounts of glue coming out of the bottle, and it lasts a really long time, and that's Amazon too. So I think they probably sell it on Simon Says Stamps and everything too, but I just am an Amazon person living in Alaska. So any other questions before we start this next?
Yes, somebody wants to know, wait a minute. What weight paper do you use? Was another one.
Yeah, so I use for the card backings, whatever I do, I use a like a 110. And then now this green colored paper was just Michael's paper. So I think it's what, 60, 75. It's not 80 weight. And that's why I said that you should probably moisten it and everything, but it works just fine. I try to economize where I can, and I have to buy designer paper all the time. So, you know, if I use white, I usually use 80 pound and 110, but if I use colored, they oftentimes come in 65. So that's fine too. Don't have
And what do you use to clean your brushes?
these brushes are super easy. You just have to take a piece of let me see. You know, you just take a piece of and just do that until it's clean.
I use baby wipes.
And baby wipes. Now I've never used these with pigment inks, which would be harder to clean out of the brush. I only use the dye inks because they're water soluble. So you can use a baby wipe, which I have right here. But normally I just go like this until it kind of doesn't show anything, and then just wipe it like that and you're done. So
Okay.
It's easy to do, really easy. I really like those detailed blending brushes. I have about 3 or 4 sets and they come in tubes like this. And there's those 3 sizes in one tube, and they're called detailed blending brushes. I like them because I just every once in a while buy another set, and then I kind of have them color based, so that although you can wash them and reuse them with different colors, but you know, I have 3 or 4 sets. Any other questions?
Somebody's asking about baby wipes, what they use that's not fuzzy. And I'm answering that. Kirkland Signature baby wipes I get at Costco have no fuzz.
What were you just saying? Kirkland Signature baby wipes. This is
That's the ones.
This is the one. No fuzz. And then to wipe off embossing powder, which we're not going to be doing today, but I use a Swiffer cloth, those big ones. And this one is a brand new one, so I'm going to cut it in half. So I have 2 out of it. And so when you're trying to get embossing powder off of your work surface or extra after you've used it on a card, just use a Swiffer cloth, and it picks up anything like that really, really well.
Yeah, Swifter's good for that.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
I think we're doing well.
Okay. So, like I said, the goal of this was to take a kit and say, how many cards can we make with very few other additional things? So I did not mix these with lots of other floral stamps and all the different combinations of things you can mix with it. I wanted you to say, I've spent this money on this kit. I want use as minimal other supplies as possible and see what I can do with it. So that was my goal. So I did use pattern paper. I did use some different sentiments, and some circle dies and things like that, which most of us would have some basic things, but I did not use a lot of other supplies. I tried to make it all from this kit. So that was the goal. So let's just start going through these, and I'm going to explain them to you, but we don't have time for me to demonstrate everything. So type your questions in if you have them, because I'm going to go through pretty quickly. So type them in, and then Lori will tell me before we switch cards, okay? So this is the first one. So this one is where what we just did, where you stamp the layers and color them in with the stencil. I just wanted you to see another example. This has dotted paper in the background. And what I did was I cut my sentiment out of the pattern paper. And I just wanted you to see a different color of the same stamps. So I did yellows in this one, and it's in the handout what colors ink I used. But can you see it's the same? I did the same thing, just in a totally different color wave in a totally different setting. So I just cut out the circle die with gray. I tend to love pink and gray and yellow and gray. That's kind of I just like those color combinations. And I just made that. So there's card number one. Is that simple how to make it? Does everybody understand?
Nora Lee has a question. If you unmute yourself, Nora Lee.
No, I just did unmute myself.
Okay. What's your
That's all.
question?
No, I didn't have a question. I just unmuted myself.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
It looks like
Nora
your
Lee.
hand is raised.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody realizes this is really simple. You just cut the square of pattern paper, cut a circle die, do the flowers just exactly the way we did them, add some embellishments, and I cut the sentiment die out of the pattern paper. And then of course you're going to put it on a card base. So anyway, that's a completely different look than this, but it's doing the flowers exactly the same way.
What color yellow did you use?
What?
What color yellow did you use?
Oh, I used the Pocket Full of Sunshine group, the whole group, the first three colors in that group. It's in the handout. It better be in the handout. I hope I put it in the handout. Okay, so then your second,
It is.
Is it there? Okay.
Yes.
The second choice, and I use pattern paper for this. This is the card I was telling you about earlier, is where if you want a bolder look, you can just do the 2 layers and leave that bottom layer white instead of using the stencil, and it gives it that impactful, really bold look. Now, I did this card for Altenew when they brought this kit out, and I used some Altenew pattern paper, which it's in your handout. All these supplies are listed in your handout, and so are the directions. So you can reproduce any of these. What I did want to point out on this was how I did this because what I did was I used let me get it here. Oh, I'm hearing all kinds of dings and things here.
And we're up to 58 people.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so I used this sentiment, but what I did not put it directly on the front of the vellum. I wanted vellum under it because I didn't want to put it right onto the paper. And so what I did was, and this is in your instructions, let me get a piece of vellum here.
Somebody wants to know what layer of stamp did you omit from the image?
I didn't omit any layer of stamping because the stamp has the outline layer and these 2 layers. But then remember on the pink ones, we put the stencil over it and did our brushes to do the lightest color. That's what I eliminated. I didn't color it with the stencil. I just did the outline and the 2 layers that are in there. And what I did was on these outlines, I don't know if you can see, rather than do the black or gray, I actually use the darkest of the colors to make the outline. So again, it wouldn't be like this harsh black outline with a flower, because I don't like that much. So on this one, I use the darkest of these colors to do the outline stamp. And on this one, I used, I don't know if you can see it, I used the darkest yellow to make the outline stamp so that it would blend into it instead of popping out of it. And my goal on this one was to take a piece of Altenew pattern paper that hardly nobody ever shows or uses and say, okay, how can I match that and do something different with it? And so there you have it. But what I did with the to make the hello was I turned it upside down on vellum, and I colored it, inked it, taped it, you know, and inked it and masked it on the back side of the vellum, so that then when I turned it over and put the right side up on the card, the ink is on the back of this, so it won't smear or anything. It's just the plain vellum on the front. But I did that by turning it upside down on the back of the vellum. Did that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So this has a vellum panel on it. I think you can see the edges right here and right here.
Yep.
And it makes the sentiment pop out more. And like I said, it prevents it from, with inking like that, it prevents it from being smeary or anything like that because it's on the back side of the vellum. So that's another little trick you can use when you want to. But so for that, I use the roses and the stencil and just a few extra items. So that's choice B, is to only partially do the roses. Now choice C is to just do the outline. Okay, so in this one, I just did the first layer of the roses and the leaves, and I did them in black. I used Obsidian ink, which is a pigment ink that Altenew puts out. And I have a little bit of, hold on a minute. Do you guys have one of these erasers? This is an adhesive eraser, and I have a little tape mark on here. And these take off any adhesives that are left on things without ruining your paper. Amazon. Adhesive eraser. Okay. So
somebody wants to know how you applied the, I'm sorry, the last card, the vellum with, so that the adhesive didn't show.
Okay, so what I did was I took a piece of, let's see, I had one over here. If I can find it, it's buried in my pile. I took a piece of double-sided adhesive sheet like this. These are the Altenew ones. They have release things on both sides, just like double-sided tape. And I cut a piece, the appropriate size, took the release off and put the vellum on it. And then I took the release off the back and put it on the card. So there's actually a double-sided adhesive strip that's the same size behind the vellum, and it's transparent, so you don't see it at all. And it's as smooth as can be. You don't have to put little drops behind your letters or anything. This adheres it to the entire panel. So, you know, lots of companies sell these now, but these are the ones that Altenew sells. And they come in big, like 9 by 12 sheets or something like that. So that's how I adhered that.
And then moving on to the card that you're working on now, how do you select your pattern paper?
Trial and error. I am a pattern paper, like, what do you call that when your collecting becomes out of control?
Hoarder?
Hoarder, yes, that's it. I am a pattern paper hoarder. It is terrible. I have no storage for pattern paper. But in this workshop, because it is Altenew, I was trying. Now that the yellow dotted was from my stash. This one is actually Altenew paper. And I knew I wanted something monochromatic, meaning all basically one color. I really wanted to have that contrast of the black and white. I wanted to give you an example of what it looks like when you just do the cards in, I'm going to bring this down just a hair. When you just do the cards in one color, you don't even have to color them or stamp or layer stamps or anything. I wanted to show you how effective it can be. Let's say you inked them in sapphire blue. There are lots of different kinds of pattern papers that would go behind something blue and white, really, really pretty. Now this, and it's all in your instructions, is tuxedo washi tape on this panel. So all I did was cut a 2-inch panel of white cardstock, lightweight, covered it with the tuxedo tape, glued that on top of a piece of pattern paper, put my flowers on top, stamped. This is a sentiment from the card kit. Did that and then colored my pearls just like I showed you with a bright pink alcohol marker, and that's that. Super easy. I made this a circle because just with design principles, these were dots, and so I wanted it to mirror that. So I love pattern paper, and I try to figure out ways to use it because I think added together with your own creativity, it just makes a multiple package that has different layers in it of fun. So anyway, so we looked at stamped all the layers and then use the stencil to fill in one and fill in the leaves. Then we looked at only stamp the 2 layers and the outline layer and leave part of it white. Then we looked at only use the outline layer. And now I use that the same thing in this card, which is really different. And what I did was I used the outline layers. I stamped them in pink. And then what I did was I used this 3D embossing folder, which is called Simple Frame, which all of this is in your handout. I did the Simple Frame 3D in gray cardstock, which is this frame right here, this 3D thing. I cut the edges around to make it just around the frame. I did ink on the back panel. I took an ink cube. It was the magenta ink cube. And I did around the sides, just like we did the green at the beginning of the card we made together. I just did this around the side of some white cardstock with magenta. I stamped these with magenta. And then what I did, I was experimenting with this. I got a piece of, I measured the inside of the frame. I've never done this particular shape before, but I just thought I would try it. So, and it worked. So I measured the inside of the frame and I cut a piece of the same gray cardstock, that rectangle piece. And then I glued the roses on top of that piece. And then I cut around the edge to make it all even in that rectangle. And then I glued that whole piece with the gray cardstock and the flowers on top of it onto the frame. And then I did the sentiment. I hope that made sense. It's all written down in your book, in your handout. It's really not hard. You just do the ink pad around the edge of a card background layer. You do the little frame, and then you just stamp your outlines in color and make it kind of like a framed picture. Is that too weird for you? I don't know.
I like it.
I like it. I thought it was really pretty.
Very creative, very nice. Really loved it. Nice. Those are all the messages in the group.
Well,
So
Great color.
So, you know, don't
yeah,
be
great
afraid
colors.
Don't be afraid to experiment with things like this. But see, this is still using just the kit plus one more 3D and then a circle sentiment. But you could do whatever. This was just to give you the idea that here we use them. We did the outline stamps with black. Actually, I used pink on this, so they're almost the same colors. But you can see the different looks that you can get just changing up your ink and changing the color of the monochromatic outline look.
Yep.
That's that. Okay, any questions? Because we're moving on to something else here. I'm taking a drink of my drink. My throat is so dry. Any questions, Lori?
Nope, not so far.
Okay, so the next thing I did was used the masking stencils that come with it. And I haven't shown you those yet, and I didn't show them yet for a reason because I didn't want to overwhelm you, but these come with the stencils, and these are masking stencils. So these are all the shapes that fit into the stencil that we went and colored with. You know, the ones that
Mhm.
have the flower shapes on them. It's buried over here. These ones. These are the insides of all of those. And what you do with them is when you want to have something look like it's all overlapped and behind each other, that's what you use. And I'm going to show you how to do it. I use that here just with one of the roses and the leaves. And can you see how these leaves look like they're behind the rose? So that's what you use these masking stencils for. So what you do is, I still have my Misty over here. And let's just go ahead and let me put a piece of cardstock in it. I'll just put it here in the middle. Okay. So let's just put the rose there. Now on this card, I actually did it and heat embossed it with rose gold, but I'm just going to do it with ink and show you how you actually do it. So let's just say I have Pinkalicious out, so I'm just going to stamp the rose with that. And I'm going to stamp just this layer. It's what I had in my, oh, I don't know. I probably should stamp the outline too. Let me get the outline out. Well, it's okay. Well, I don't want to run out of time, so we'll just be. Okay, so what I did is I doubled up some tape on the back of this of the one that matches this. This should be the outline stamp, but I didn't have that right there. And let me see. Now, did I cheat myself out because I didn't bother to get my outline stamp out? Probably. Let's do it over and do it the right way. Stop cheating, Sandra, and do it the right way. Okay, we'll get the outline stamp. I found it. I'm going to ink it with Pinkalicious. So I just wanted to show you how to use these. So there it is. Now I'm going to put this on right on top of this with the little piece of tape on the back. If I can find the right way. Come on, Sandra. Don't mind me talking to myself. I do it all the time. So I'm going to cover that up with that. Then I'm going to take a couple of the leaf stamps. This is just an example. Remember, I'm not being too terribly careful about the arrangement of anything. And I'm actually overlapping them onto that mask. And what that's going to do is it's going to make these leaves look like they're behind the flower. It's crazy. You do the top layer first, and then you put the back layers on top of the top layer. So if you had a third layer, you'd mask the leaves and then put another layer on. And that came off, but that's okay because we're going to just put it right back on. Okay, and now I'm going to ink these leaves up with a green, just for our little demonstration here. So these masks are really useful, and you need to play with them and play with putting things in front of things and behind things. They're really fun to use. They just take a lot of time that, we don't necessarily have when we're together. But now I'm inking that green ink right on top. And now when I take it off, you can see can you see how the leaves look like they're behind the flower?
Yep.
So that's what these little masks are for. And they come for all of the flowers and all of the leaves. So
And that's
if I
it.
wanted to put some leaves behind these leaves, I would just mask that and tape it down and put another leaf coming out over here. And it would look like it was behind all of this. So it's the way you layer things up and look like they're stamped right on, you know, like with dimension. So it's really great to use and fun to use, but you have to experiment with it. So for this card, that's what I did. I did just what we just did. I just did it more carefully. And actually what I did was I inked the rose with embossing ink, sticky embossing ink on vellum. And then I did the heat embossing with rose gold. Of course, I used an anti-static powder tool over the whole thing before I did it. And then, and some of you might be real beginners and not know about that, and we can talk about that another time. It's just hard to explain every single thing, but I used an anti-static tool, and then I heat embossed the rose. Then I put that little plastic shield over the rose and did the leaves just like what we did, and I did them with the embossing ink and he set that, and this is all on vellum. Then what I did was I used one of those same little things that I just showed you, the sheets of the I'm looking for the one I just had, but it's not showing myself very easy. So I used a piece of that double-sided adhesive that we talked about using with that Hello vellum, and I put it on the back, and then I put this whole thing on a piece of like it's kind of like ivory cardstock. So, and I cut all three out in the ovals. I cut the vellum out in the oval, the double-sided layer in the oval, and the cardstock in the oval, and then I adhered them all together. Then I ran some pink cardstock through with this folder, which is the Garden Harmony one. You could use anything. I was just playing because I had them. And I actually inked this. You can't see it very much, but just like what we did on this, and I used the dark green on the green, I decided to try a gold ink pad on here. And I kind of inked it with gold, but I don't think you can see it. It has a little sheen to the top of these leaves.
I don't think we can see the sheen, but I can definitely see that it's darker, that you've shaded it somehow.
Yeah, it's gold. And then I just did the sentiment straight from the kit and added again some pearls. I did 5 this time just because I thought it looked pretty, and there you have it. I thought it was a really feminine birthday card. And so, but this was just to show you how to use that masking technique. So that's another way. That's way number 5, I think. So the next thing you can do is color the roses with markers instead of using the stamps. So this—
Hold on a sec. Somebody wants to know, were you able to cut all 3 oval layers at the same time?
No, I didn't. I might have been able to, but I thought, I don't know if I want to do it. So I just went ahead and cut them separately just because I didn't want to risk it getting stuck or something because it was too thick. You probably could. I just was trying to be cautious. Let's just say that. Okay, so on this one, I colored the roses with alcohol markers. The names and everything are on your handout. I used the stencil that's in there like this, and then turned it around like this, made it on a big piece, inked it up with blue, and you know, blue and orange are complementary colors, so they go very well together. Just look at the color theory workshop for that. I inked that, cut it down, colored or stamped just the outline. This time I did use black on the outline because I wanted it to be kind of bold. And then once I got the outline, I colored them in with alcohol markers, but you could also use zigs or some kind of water-based marker. And then die cut them and put them on the card just like that. And this is another one of the one of the sentiments from the kit. So something completely different, but I wanted to show you a lot of different options, of different thinking, different, and I love 3D embossing folders, and they're cheap. So this one is the organic linen, which I really like for backgrounds. I use this a lot because it's not so bold, but it really gives nice texture. So are there any questions on this one? I'm trying to go through fast so I get through all of them, but I don't want you to be left hanging. So let me know.
Any tips on coloring? So a couple questions on your alcohol. What a great job you did with the alcohol color marker coloring.
Thank you. Thank you. You know what? We did a workshop on everything you can use alcohol markers for except for coloring, blending. But I've had a lot of people lately ask me to do something on alcohol coloring. Would you guys like that?
Thumbs ups if you guys would. Oh, we've got a couple thumbs up. 3, 4. So evidently, 14, 17 people, 18 people.
Okay.
A lot of people would like you to. Yes, 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 they're saying.
Okay, we will do it. We will do it. I will schedule it. I have to send to Altenew to get it approved 6 weeks before I do it. So it's quite the long process. So I will put it in to do it, and we will do it. Okay, that'd be great. I just want to make sure I don't want to offer something that nobody wants and then nobody comes, because that's not worth my time, and it's not worth, making all the effort to do it. So, okay, I went outside the box and thought, what else can I do? Let me just think up something. So this one's a little bit wonky because it doesn't have a back panel of cardstock yet, but can you see the rose on there?
Beautiful.
So how did I do that? I used alcohol lift ink. This is a Ranger product. So what I did was I put a piece of cardstock in my MISTI. And you can see that I just used an alcohol marker because you can see the stroke marks. I used an alcohol marker to make this. You could use alcohol ink, too. But I just thought, I don't know, I kind of like the texture of the way that looks. So I just left it like that. I did the alcohol lift ink, which is just clear, onto my stamp. This is safe on our stamps, but don't use alcohol ink on the clear stamps. But this you can use on the clear stamp. So I used it on my clear stamp. I stamp it on here. And then you just take, when he comes off, you just take a soft rag, like a microfiber towel, and you just wipe like this over the pattern. And it lifts the alcohol ink off, and it leaves this really cool looking shadowy image. And I just thought that was really pretty. So I did not use the outline image. You'll notice I used one of the second image to make that kind of ethereal looking rose. Do you like that? You can say no, because this was one of my experiments. So
I like it. Somebody said that was really cool.
Okay.
We're getting a lot of thumbs up and some hearts. So yeah, they do like it.
Yay. I'm glad you like it. It was a little bit experimental for me, but hey, you just don't know till you try. That's one of my mottos. And if you've taken my workshops before, it's only a piece of paper. So if you have a wild and crazy idea, go for it. If it looks like garbage when you're done, well, okay, maybe it wasn't the greatest idea, but you just never know when it might turn out like this. I just did it because I thought about, well, what else can I do with alcohol and this kit? And there you have it. But I kind of like it after it's all done. I used you may not be able to see it, but I used what's the brand of that? Anyway, a sparkly marker on top of the hugs. And then I really like this 3D thing too. It's called basket weave or something like that. I really like that pattern.
Is it the Winca Stella that you used?
No, but it's the other one. It's on the handout. I'm drawing a complete blank right at the moment.
If it's on the handout, we'll find it.
Okay. Okay, so moving on to the stencils. And again, so that's all the flowers. I gave you a lot of different ways to try using the flowers. And so if you are in my Facebook group, I cannot tell you how much I really want to see you try something with these and post it there so I can see it. It really blesses me. And so don't be scared to post there because you know it's a safe place. I mean, if anybody dared to criticize you, they would be out of the group. I will not put up with that. This is a place where we can be safe and feel comfortable and share and ask questions. And you don't have to be Miss Expert at anything to post in there. It's for everybody. So,
And to experiment. I love that, that she is very accepting and, you know,
yeah,
post what you got and
post what you have
Yeah.
and ask questions. And that's what we're there for. And I really mean it. This is the teacher in me, you know, it just is. You don't learn unless you're asking questions and unless you're willing to put your stuff out there and then have, you know, say, what about if I did this instead? What do you think? And, you know, then we all learn from each other. And I'm really serious about it. So if you try any of these things, please do post them. And it just blesses me. So enough of that, but that's just where I'm at. So like I said, I have not done a lot with the stencils because we've done a lot of stencils together, but I did do this. This has the Enchanted Garden inks. It's a light. I think this is wisteria, hydrangea, and I can't remember the third one, but I did light, medium, dark. Then I just used some Altenew stripe pattern paper, cut a another cinnamon out of colored, you know, out of purple cardstock. I'm starting to lose my mind here. And put vellum on at an angle, and it's just a fun card. And then I decided, oh, I like this card. I think it's really fun. So it just says hello you, and I put buttons on I put some buttons on there instead of using other embellishments. So pretty straightforward, easy to do, but it's just another stencil idea using the stencils from the kit. This one was my attempt at making a more masculine card. It's in the handout how I did it, but I did heat emboss these stripes from the stripe stencil on blue and just kind of experimented. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I want to try to make through everything. So look on, I put on the handout the link to the stencil workshop on my YouTube channel so that you can get a lot of other ideas how to use these stencils. And if any of you were in there, you know we went through a ton of stencil usage. So, so you can check that out. But now moving on to the 3D. And there's a lot of things you can do. And so I just wanted to show you. Now this one, believe it or not, is actually not our actual garden rose 3D. But I had it from before and I thought, well, I don't want to redo this whole card. And it's a good example of what I wanted to show you. Oh, I used buttons on this too. The idea is take a shaped die. This one's a heart, but you could use a circle or a square or a diamond or anything. Cut it out of your cardstock and then run it through with the 3D embossing folder. And you end up having an embossed piece that's actually an embossed shape on top of the rest of your card. And it really impacts a lot. That texture and that dimension, it really makes a big difference if you do that on a card that just has a regular shape of some sort. So that's the first example I wanted to give you. And because I already had this card done, I just had it as another flower, but still it's the same idea. So, and then this is actually a background stamp and some edging dies and things. I just wanted something very feminine for this card. So anyway,
somebody said that you must, excuse me, somebody said you must first cut the shape before embossing.
Yes. I would do that because what happens is if you put the shaped cutout dye on it and run it through it after it's embossed, it'll flatten this out. So
Yep.
that's a really important tip. Make your shape first, then put it through, because if you put a piece of cardstock through and then say, oh, I want to figure out where I want my shape to go on the pattern after it's done, when you put it back through the die cut machine, the pressure will flatten all the 3D out. So that's why you have to do it in that order. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so this one was another one I made for Altenew for my blog for their release.
Love that.
So this is where I inked a card panel ahead of time, and I made kind of a gradient, you know, with the light and medium and dark. And then I ran it through with the 3D after I had inked the panel. So that's this option. Ink first and then run it through. And then I just used some pattern paper, again, pink and black. I like that color combination. So, but that's this option, is just go ahead and ink blend a panel of any colors, any sort, and then run it through with the 3D embossing folder. Okay, so that's the ink first method. This one is the watercolor method, but I didn't actually use watercolors for this because I wanted to show you ways you could do it with, you don't have watercolors. What I did was, now on the Altenew 3D folders, the side that has, oh, I'm showing you it's on the camera. The side that has the name on it is the embossing side. There's two sides to these folders: a raised side that's the embossed side, and a lowered side that's the debossed side. If you want to know more about that, check out my 3D workshop that we did. But what I did on this is I took the side that the name is on, and all I did was take little ink cubes. I didn't even take brushes or watercolors or anything. I just took this, I put it on white paper so I could see through it. Let me get a piece of white paper. And I could see it's hard on camera, but I can see where the flowers are and the leaves. So I just took and just did pinks. I used 3 colors of pinks and 3 colors of green. And this is another one where you're not trying to be perfect, okay? This is something I have to get in my head. You don't always have to be perfect. It's okay, because then what you do is you spray it with water, the folder, after you put all the ink on it, put a piece of white cardstock in there, run it through, and it comes out looking like this. It's not perfect watercolor. It's just kind of a little bit of abstract, very bright colors. And it's a different look. And not everybody likes this look, but I'm giving you the wide range. So I haven't tried this with pastel colors, so I don't know how well it would come out, but this is another bold look that isn't real exact. Now, one of the things that we did in our 3D folder was to ink the whole side so that the background comes out inked. But what I found on this particular folder is that there's so little background, it doesn't work all that really well. So that's not a technique I really did with this. So anyway, does everybody get the watercolor one? You put, it's in the handout. You put the color down onto the folder itself. Then you spritz it with water. Then you run the card through, and it presses the color into the cardstock. Lori, did
Someone's,
Yes.
everybody likes it. Somebody suggested that when you emboss it, to flip it over on the deboss side and watercolor it. It says yeah, really, from turning the 3D embossed image over and then watercolor the image, allowing the wells of the flipped image to hold and keep the color.
Yes,
I hadn't thought of that,
too.
and I think I'm going to try that.
Yes, you can do that too. I have done
Somebody
that.
wants to know if you tried using shimmer
I have done
spray
that.
instead of water. would
Uh-huh.
that work as well?
Yeah. You know what? Look up my, I'm echoing somehow. I don't know how. Look up the 3D. Why am I echoing? Does somebody else have their something on? I don't know.
It doesn't sound like an echo to me,
Okay.
and everybody is muted.
Look up the 3D workshop that we did, because it's got a lot of techniques with different kinds of watercolors, spray inks. I mean, you name it, it's in there. I think there's 35 things you can do with 3D folders in there. So I couldn't possibly cover all of them in this. I just am giving you a sample. But if you want to learn about all that, look at my 3D one, and there's a handout in the files of our Facebook group. Okay, this is one of my favorite ones. I love this card. Now, what I did with this card was and I don't know if you can see the sparkle on the background. I put sparkle on this around this white cardstock too. But what I did was I took those same little mini blending brushes, and I colored directly onto it after it had been run through with just really pastel. And then I put it through this stamp die that Altenew has that makes its outline, and then it makes its middle section. And I put the middle section raised up with foam tape. It's very pastel. It's very, that green looks brighter than it really is in person. It's just really, really pastel. And actually, my younger daughter in California, it's their anniversary today. And I actually made this card for her, and I told her, your anniversary card is going to be late because I'm using it in my workshop. But anyway, that's how I made this one. And I set it at an angle just to make it a little bit more interesting. And then this is just, again, I did the same, I did the organic linen background 3D on the pink cardstock, and then I cut the sentiment out of the pink cardstock and put it on a little teeny vellum strip. So this is using those detailed brushes right onto the cardstock after you get it through the machine. Okay, try that.
How do you adhere the little dies, like the congrats that you did there?
Okay,
What do you use?
You can either use the little teeny tip on the glue, or you can put a piece of the double stick adhesive behind the pink, onto the pink cardstock, die cut the sentiment out, and then just take the release paper off and put it on. And it's automatically adhesive for you. So that is super easy way to do these. Did that answer your question?
I think so.
Okay. Now this is another experiment. This is colored pencils. And I thought, what would happen if you color on top of a darker cardstock with something else? So this was another experiment. I colored it with my Prismacolor pencils, and I put the sparkly coating over the top, so you can probably see the sheen.
Yeah.
And there you have it. It was just another experiment to see, can you color with something other than ink blending? And I just wanted to see, what do you guys think of that? If you don't like it, say so, because this was another experiment.
I think I need to try that technique.
Well, I spent a long time.
Hearts and thumbs.
I spent a long time trying to get the shading in that flower with colored pencils. I don't claim to be a colored pencil aficionado, but I think it looks pretty good. And it's different.
That's gorgeous.
So, and then I just decided it needed some sheen, and this is cut out of, I think it's too light, but it's cut out of some Altenew pattern paper, and this is Altenew pattern paper. But anyway, this is what that card, it looks like run through on colored cardstock, on blue cardstock.
Did you keep the card?
What?
Did you keep the card in the folder when you colored it?
No. I ran it through, and then I had the whole outline, and then I colored it in there with very light, not hard pressure, just really light colored it. When you color on blue though, you put white down first. I don't know if you know that. When you color on dark cardstock with colored pencils, use your white colored pencil and make a whole base on everything with white. Then your colors will come out the color that you want them to come out. If you're doing it on dark cardstock, that's a real secret for that. This one I'm super excited about. How many of you guys have used stamping foam? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have.
I haven't, but I haven't used it.
Well, I have not ever used it. I am a neophyte. This is the first time I've used it, and I'm so excited. I can't begin to tell you. Look at this. It came out so gorgeous, and this is from the 3D folder, but you can see it's not 3D. It's a printed image, and it's so pretty in person. And it came from using this. This is the stamping foam. So what you do is where is my rose folder? Here it is. Okay.
A lot of people say they have it, but haven't tried it yet. And
I
a
haven't.
lot of people are saying how pretty it is, and it's so cool, and I agree.
Okay, so let's try it. Okay, I'm gonna just turn on my heat gun. This was the first time I tried it. I had no idea what I was doing. I did it on the deboss side, the side not where the name is, but on the other one. So I'm gonna put this on my silicone, and I'm going to turn on my heat gun. Sorry for the noise, you guys, but you will not believe how easy this is. I was like, why haven't I done this before? It is so cool. Let me get out a different color ink than what we have out. Let's see here. Let's do the same one I did, because I did hydrangea on it. So what you do is you get your heat gun really hot, and then you just start heating this up. This is the exact same foam I use, but when you heat it up, the pattern comes out of it. So anyway, I heated it up you have to get it soft. So you just heat it up for a long time. And I'm not an expert, I've only done it once. So if I'm screwing it up, somebody who's an expert can tell me what I did wrong, because I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just trying. It gets softer.
What kind of foam is that called?
What?
What kind of foam is that called?
It's called stamping foam. I know Simon Hurley makes it, but there's some other
Stamping foam.
generic brands too. It's getting softer. You want it to get real soft because you're going to make an impression. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've got so many embossing folders that are so pretty, and this was so easy. You can make a set of note cards or something. It's almost ready. This is the hardest part, just heating it up.
Somebody wants to know if it's reusable, and yes, it is.
Wait a minute, because I can't hear you, so just a minute. Let's try it like that. I'm tired of doing this, but then you take it and you just take wherever you want and you put it on there and then just stamp it down until it makes an impression. Now, what was the question?
Somebody wanted to know if it was reusable, and I said, yes,
Yeah.
it is. You get it up
Yeah.
again.
I don't know if I got it hot enough or not, but let's see. Yeah, see? It made that impression just like that off of my 3D folder. So now, this is so cool, you guys. I was just like so excited, but I didn't have time to try it more than what I already did. So then You just ink it. Just like that. And you can do this with any of your 3D folders, any shape, anything, any pattern. Okay, just like that. You could use different colors of ink, whatever. But now look at this. I'm just going to center it on here. Just
Evidently, Simon Hurley has been using it to stamp impressions of his furniture.
yeah, you can make it on anything. But look. How cool is that? I think that is so
Someone's-
neat. And so here's what I made it into from before, where I stamped, which is a different area probably, but and you can ink it up and just keep stamping with different colors of ink. And then when you want to, this isn't very wet anymore. I'll do it later. I just cleaned it off with a baby wipe. And then when you want to do it for something else, you just reheat it and it all gets flat again. It's amazing, amazing. So I highly encourage you to try to get some and just go for it. And I'm going to try it. Like I said, I think it would be very cool to do different floral 3D folders and maybe make a set of note cards or something you could give for a gift. And it's easy. So that's that. Is everybody with me? We're moving along. We're almost done.
They all love it.
Great.
You could press into dyes too.
Yes. Yes, you can use anything with texture. I read somebody was using it on kitchen implements, you know, so I'm like, oh, I wonder what you could do. Let's see. I mean, it sort of like make you open your eyes and look around your house and say, oh, what is a neat pattern, you know? So anyway, this one I wanted to show, we're going to get into swiping ink. You know how we did on this where we swiped the green ink and it
Just an
looks
FYI, we got about 10 minutes.
okay, we're erasing. We're swiping. Now this one, my husband looked at this black when I did it and he said, what are you going to do with those black roses? And I said, well, I'm experimenting. So what I did with them, and it turned out so pretty, is I swiped the black with a light blue ink. And it's pigment ink, it's Arctic. I only own the greens and Arctic and buttercream in these inks, but I swiped it with light blue. And what I did was I ran the light blue cardstock through the 3D folder and ran the black cardstock through the 3D folder. Then I cut down the black, swiped it with the light blue ink, and then put this with foam tape on the backing so that the imprints all matched, so that it's the same place of the 3D folder. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
Okay, so I cannot begin to tell you how good this looks in person. It really is very, very pretty with this light blue on the black. It's really pretty. So that's one choice of swiping. Swiping a light ink on a dark background. This one.
You're getting lots of and
What?
beautiful and so pretty. You're getting lots of thumbs up, beautiful and so pretty.
Good. Thank you. This one is what somebody already mentioned. This is the deboss side. So after it came out of the folder, instead of swiping the front side, I turned it over to the deboss side and you can see the difference of how it looks. This one, the rose is raised, and this one, the rose is pressed in. So you can swipe either side. So I wanted to show you that there are two ways of swiping that ink to make it look really cool. And you can do both sides and they look different than each other. They're highlighted in a different way. Oh, I was going to show you how to do that. So let's just take, okay, so this is the emboss side with the roses sticking up. And this is the reverse side. This is the deboss side where the roses are down. So if I just swipe on there, I have this ink. I don't have any others out. You can see that it doesn't highlight the rose. It doesn't ink the rose. It inks the reverse. You see that? So it's just a totally different look than inking this side. So you have two options with every card. Okay, we're almost done. this one is tone on tone. And what I did was I took cream cardstock and I swiped it with my buttercream pigment ink. So it's cream on cream. And then I picked out pattern paper to do the sentiment and the background. And it's really springy and very soft looking in person. So you can also use, so we did the light blue and the black, which is a contrast. This is tone on tone, just like this is tone on tone. Green on green, yellow on cream, and it gives it a totally different, softer look. And then on this one, I swiped dark cardstock with gold ink. And it makes it look
stunning.
very formal. Very
Gorgeous.
dressy for some kind of a special event or something. So it's gold on purple, but you could do gold on navy blue or whatever you wanted. And then of course I backed it in the metallic. And then I think we have two more. And then I have a surprise one that I'm going to send you, because I'll tell you why in a minute. These are with embossing ink and embossing powders. Now, this one has that same principle of the heart with it in the middle. And I was experimenting. My husband loved this card, so I'd included it. I was going to trash it. He loved it, so here it is. I thought, what would it happen if I just inked over, swiped the top of the cardstock when it came out with the embossing ink, and then didn't use an anti-static tool ahead of time? What would that look like? Well, it kind of came out just this kind of, it's very metallic-y, and it's really pretty, but I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I inked around the edges. I did another piece, a second one, and inked around the edges with embossing ink, and then just kind of did an edge in the platinum. So it's platinum. And then I did the lovebirds little thing. It's all on your handout. And so I can't make up my mind if I like it or I don't like it, but my husband thought it was really pretty, so I left it in. So you tell me. I don't know. It's pretty. It's got all this platinum. It's such a pretty change from gold or silver. Anyway, that's that. And this one, what I did is really different. It's a different look. Can you see all the metallic in there?
Mm-hmm.
What I did was I used an anti-static tool, and then I used an embossing pen, and I traced around all of these with the embossing pen, and then I embossed it with rose gold, and it's a different look. It's really pretty in person. I just would never have thought of doing it before. I just came up with that idea. So, and then I just tore a piece of vellum out with rough edges. I don't know if you can see that, with kind of deckled edge, and put it underneath. I cut this out of metallic paper and put the metallic paper on the back. So those are my two little experiments with embossing, but I have a bonus.
You are very clever.
Oh, I don't know. I just, come up with weird ideas. What can I say? You just don't know till you try, right? So, but yesterday, after I had already sent you the handout, and I was cleaning up my room and trying to get ready to film this today, I discovered another card. I went, oh, I knew I made that card, but it was buried under some other cards, and so it didn't get in the handout. But I want to show it to you, and I already took a picture of it, so I will send you the picture of it and all of everything. And it's this one. So I really
love it.
So what I did, and I'm really sorry it's not in the
Oh,
handout, but what I did was I took the embossing folder, I did it on some teal colored cardstock, and I inked it I did the swiping with some white pigment ink. I like the Hero Arts one. So I did a teal paper swiped it with white pigment ink. And then I sliced it in two and use foam tape to put it on a background. And then that's on another background that's black, so that these black stripes will fit in with this background edging. And then I did my cinnamon in the middle, stamped in the middle. And I really like this a lot. And I was glad I rediscovered it and had forgotten it. But now it's resurfaced.
That is gorgeous.
Isn't that pretty? And there's
Gorgeous.
so many variations you could do. You could do all this different, you know, swiping with all these different colors of cardstock, colors of ink, and swipe it like that and just end up, you know, any sentiment, and it just looks so pretty. So I'll send you this picture in the same time that I send the link to you for the workshop tomorrow or Tuesday for the video. And that's it. We made it through, you guys. What do you think? Let me change my camera around. Hold on. There we are. There's my glasses, see? Okay.
And your workshops are so fabulous.
Oh, thanks. You can turn your mics on now since I'm not talking and I really don't want to talk anymore.
It was wonderful class. Thank you so much.
Good.
Good techniques and tips.
Thank you.
I made lots of notes.
Awesome. And you have the handout. It has
Sure.
all of these tips and all of the supplies and all of the directions on it. So
This is the acetate that I was telling you about. Take your image
yeah.
and lie it over your outlined image, and then you stick your layered stamp on this. So
Yeah.
it'll go paper, acetate this image, put the stamp on your Misty, and then pull this out to ink it.
Okay, I'm going to try that. In the meantime, if anybody tries that, or you try your little clip-on glasses or some reading glasses that are magnified, tell me if it helps you. I really, really hope so.
Great class as usual, Sandy.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad you guys could come. And don't forget to post anything that you've made or whatever from this in our Facebook group or in the Altenew group, but I really would like to do it in our Facebook group because I really want you guys to be able to share things for people that weren't a part of the workshop today. And I don't want to always have to be posting just my stuff. It's just not, it's not about me. So please post your things into our main feed. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
So any other questions or comments?
I have a comment.
Yes.
This is my first time taking a class like this. I've made cards for a long time, but I've never, the opportunity came up. It was free. What more could you ask for? And I love it. You did a great job.
Good. I'm glad. That's what it's there
Wonderful.
for. It's just to bless you and help you if it's possible. I'm trying, but I'm a learner at the same time as you. But I really, really am thankful for you saying that. That really blesses me. Thank you so much. I hope you come back. We're having the washi tape in 3 weeks, which is usually faster and closer together than I can manage to make them. But I took November and December and January basically off from Altenew, and I've kind of got some things squished together here. So we have our washi tape one on April 3rd. And if you want to be part of it, you can email me. Don't just ignore what's on Facebook and email me direct. You have my email now. And then I will, since so many of you wanted me to, let's do something on shading with alcohol markers. But, we'll just see how it goes. I'll figure out something. Okay. So anyway, any other comments or questions? I'm so glad you guys came today.
Yes, thanks for showing us that card with the stamping sponge, was it?
Yeah.
I never even heard of that.
This one?
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that's my next tool I have to get.
Yeah, and it's not expensive. It's not expensive. It is so cool. And I want to try it on a lot of other,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of other embossing folders. I just think it would be neat. Think about if you did one that had foliage on the back and you did it with green and then you put a floral, you know, stamp on the top of, I mean, not stamped on it, but, you know, like a die cut floral on top of like a green foliage background or something.
So now, Sandy, how do you get rid of that image? Does it just kind of over time go away?
No, you heat it up
You
again.
melt it out.
I'm going to wash the ink off of this now that we're done. I'm going to take
then reheat it.
water and, you know, take the ink off of it. And then you just heat it up like we did in the beginning, and it flattens it out again. You could use it, I don't know how many times, but several times.
Wow.
A lot of times.
So-
And you get
Oh,
4 in
Kathy.
a pack.
Kathy, that's a great idea. She just said for our weekend challenge in our group, we should do stamping foam sometime. And once everybody gets some, and see what you can do. Oh,
Simon Hurley that created this stuff.
he did,
He
but you know
has an
what?
excellent video.
I cheated and I got mine on Amazon, and it's just generic, and I got 6 pieces for cheapo. So sorry
Right.
to say, I like Simon Hurley and everything.
His were
but
only
let me
$5.99.
just say, you know, I cheated.
Yeah.
But anyway, oh, my doggy came in, my golden retriever, and he's down here licking my leg. So,
Hey, give me some love.
come here.
Sandy, I just wanted to mention the one with the birds. Were you using
Can you see
like a
here?
verse? The
Yes,
card with
it's
the birds,
beautiful.
were you using like a Versamark? And then did you put like a pearl embossing powder over top of that?
Yeah, I used Versamark ink and then did platinum embossing powder.
Okay.
Yeah, on the birds one, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you take a pale light pink cardstock and you add the Versamark or the embossing paste or whatever you have there,
Mhm.
and then you put a pearlized like embossing powder, it
Yeah.
looks really pretty too.
The other thing you can use, which I didn't, because again, I was trying not to be overly using other materials, but you can also use a gilding polish on the top of 3D. We did that.
Right.
We did that in our 3D workshop. So if you're interested in using other materials like that, check that video out. It's like this. So it's a 2-hour, you know, marathon, and it's not edited. So you might want to watch it in sections or something, but we used a lot of different supplies with that one.
Okay,
So
great. Thank you.
my goal today was to try to use the kit materials to say, just with some inks and markers and simple things that most of us have, what are different looks you can get with it? That was the main goal today, so that you can get your money's worth out of paying for these kits, which are really expensive. So that was my goal.
Accomplished.
Good, thank you. Thank you. Oh, thanks, Kathy. You'd see my craft space. Yeah, that's, if you could see the rest of it, you would see what a mess it is, but it's kind of the organized side of it. Oh my gosh, I was piling things on the floor last night. I was like, this is getting way out of hand. But anyway,
That's called organized chaos.
yeah. What did you see in the Facebook group the meme I put up the other day that says a lady never tells how big her craft stash is? It's got that lady from what's that show? Downton Abbey.
Down in it, yeah.
You know the older lady on there that's
Yes.
80 years old? Well,
The
that's
doubter.
what I say about
The
but anyway, she's going, a lady never tells how big her craft stash is. And I thought, okay, I'll do that. Oh, I don't know. It's bad, isn't it? It's really bad. So yeah, back here, those are all my, I finally have accumulated all the inkers for the dye inks. And I had these racks on my wall when I was quilting and doing machine embroidery. And these racks I bought, they're actually nail polish racks for a salon, but they held my embroidery thread spools perfectly. And so then when I had foot surgery and stuff, and I can't sew like I used to. And so when I kind of changed over to card making, I thought, well, what could I put in those racks? And that fits perfectly. So it works really well. So, okay, let me ask you another question. Anybody who's still here, other ideas for workshops that you would want? Because again, I'm not going to do something that nobody really wants to know. So anybody have any other ideas?
For sure, the alcohol ink one, I would love that.
Okay.
Me too.
Okay. Anything else that you can think of?
Not offhand.
Okay. Well, if you think of something or you're trying something and you think, oh man, I'd like to know how to use this in more ways or whatever,
Okay.
you can always email me because I'm
Okay.
always trying to think of. Now, one of the other ones that people voted for when I did a poll in the Facebook group, the top one was washi tape, which is why we're doing washi tape next. And the second one was using scraps and different ideas for using scraps. So I've got some ideas for that. So I might do that.
Okay.
You know,
Have you done a watercolor one?
no, but that's probably the last thing I'll do.
Oh, okay.
I tried to do a watercolor for this. I mean, like an official watercolor. And well, what can I say? I look at Aram's tapes on watercolor and she says, anybody can do this. And I think, okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, anybody but me. I try. Maybe I'm just too much of a perfectionist, because they put the paint on there and then they say, let the water do the work and let it just roll around. And I don't know.
You know what? I did try this 3D embossed folder with the woodless watercolor pencils or woodless water.
Yeah.
Those
Now
pencils,
watercolor pencils, I can do those.
Yes,
But
that
it's
actually
still
worked on
watercolor.
the 3D folders really well.
Well, the other thing that I have done that works for me is the metallic watercolors on black cardstock. It looks super elegant. And for some reason, you can do that easier than you can colors on white watercolor paper. So just saying. Anyway,
Have you experimented with different folds of cards?
different what? Oh, that's another thing
Folds.
I want to do. Now, my friend Anne Marie, she was going to do folded cards with some of her workshops, and I didn't want to step on her toes. I already had one scheduled, but I canceled it because of that.
Okay.
Because she just got to be an educator and that's what she wants to do. But she's been so busy, she hasn't been having them. She's a nurse. She lives in New Zealand and she's just maxed out with COVID right now. She just told me yesterday. So I might schedule one. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If I don't schedule one, I will plan to do some YouTube tutorials.
Okay, so in other words,
real
for me,
videos.
who's not a Facebooker, do I just Google you on YouTube and then that's where I find these?
Yeah, now look in the chat. Lori was going to put my YouTube channel on there. Everything I have is under Sandy's Poema. There's a reason for that, but I won't go into that right now, but that's what it is. Like SANDES, Sandy's, spelled with an E, and then like poem with an A on the end.
I did put it in there, Sandy.
Okay. Yeah.
I got power and
Yeah.
so that's what happened.
So that's how you would find it. And I have not made any videos for a while. And the reason is because I've had some family things happening and I've had some medical stuff going on. So I have been, and combined with the fact that Altenew has asked me to be a guest artist for them for both March and April, which takes a giant amount of time. I haven't made any video tutorials for a while. So all that to say, I'm planning to do that as soon as I get this commitment with Altenew out of my work path here. And I have several I want to make. So I love making video tutorials, and I've had really good feedback on them. So it's just a matter of me and my body cooperating, because it is what it is. What can I say? So I will be making some as soon as I am not so busy and feel up to it. So just keep an eye on there, subscribe, and I'm super blessed. I've been getting subscribers on YouTube, and I haven't made any videos for a long time. I'm up to 700 and something subscribers. I can't believe it.
Oh, wow, that's great.
I mean, I'm like in shock. I can't believe it, but what a blessing. So anyway, you guys, well,
Lori,
time to
sorry.
go. It's so good seeing all of you. It's really good to see you.
Thank
I
you
missed
so
a
much.
lot.
Thank you.
Well, you're
Thank
welcome so
you.
much. And I will email you and give you the link for the video once I get it from Zoom and everything. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Stan.
Thank you.
All right, my
Thank you.
friends.
Take
I
care,
love you very
Sandy.
much.
Bye-bye.
You have a good
Bye.
day.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye,
Stan.
everybody.
Bye.
There.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.